Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse, and in today's segment I want to discuss with you the top 5 diseases to prep for. This is for poop hits the fan or for societal collapse, whatever it is that you want to affix the label on. That's the 5 diseases that we're going to talk about today. And these diseases, I'm going to go ahead and enumerate them, and then we're going to go back and expand upon them. Number 1 is TB or tuberculosis. 2, I had to write it down here. 2 is typhoid. 3 is cholera. 4 is respiratory infections, and 5 is dysentery, amoebic dysentery specifically. So let's talk about these diseases and what the parameters are that really kind of set off their growth. So we're really comfortable right now in the West for sure. We are used to indoor plumbing. We're used to sanitation practices being pretty much universally applied. Well, maybe not universally applied, but a lot of people at least wash their hands after they go to the bathroom. There's toilets that flushes, and the poopy and the pee and all that stuff go far, far away from us and our food prep areas. Basically, we're used to living cleanly and comfortably. Whenever you have a breakdown in rule of law, whenever you have a breakdown in the infrastructure that keeps us happy and healthy, you're going to see a resurgence in these diseases, okay? And you're seeing this now in places like Ukraine, Syria. This has been the case in many instances, Bosnia, Rwanda. Anytime that you got a breakdown, you're going to see these diseases come back up. So let's talk about TB first, tuberculosis. Tuberculosis, the 2 main predicting factors to an individual's likelihood to contract tuberculosis are number 1, low body weight, and number 2, vitamin D deficiency, okay? There are some other factors as well. Living in cramped, poorly ventilated living conditions, that is a major contributing factor to this and to the spread of TB across people. There is an uptake, if you will. There's an uptick in the rates of tuberculosis throughout this country, especially in drug-resistant tuberculosis. There are many reasons for this. I would submit to you that the influx of people across the border is a major contributing factor to the spread of TB and also other communicable respiratory diseases. But with tuberculosis, you're looking at dry coughs at night, but also you're looking at coughing up blood, fatigue, weight loss, these sorts of things. It's not pretty. It's definitely not a pretty thing to live through, and it's not a pretty thing to die from for sure. So the biggest things that you can do to prep against this are to make sure that your people have an adequate intake of calories and nutrition, specifically vitamin D. So we need to make sure that we're supplementing that, or at a minimum, if we're below about mid-level Kentucky as far as latitude in the United States, if you are living below that level, you're going to need to get a minimum of 30 minutes of sunshine per day, especially in the winter. When you're looking at latitudes above about mid-level Kentucky or so, you're going to have to supplement in order to get a satisfactory level of vitamin D. Okay, so tuberculosis is something we need to look at. When you're looking at caring for people that have TB, that is a pretty nasty situation. The parameters for care for someone that has active TB, that is definitely a subject for another video. So we're going to move forward. Typhoid. Okay, and really typhoid and cholera, these are digestive diseases, okay? When you're looking at typhoid, you're looking at a really nasty set of digestive symptoms. You're looking at a really strong fever that just gets worse and worse and worse. Typhoid is not a pretty thing for sure. It used to be spread back in the day when we had not great toilet facilities. Black flies especially, they land on the poo, like the nasties. They land in the latrines, and then they'd go and land on people's food, and they could transmit typhoid back and forth that way. You can have people who transmit typhoid, like Typhoid Mary. She was probably a non-symptomatic carrier, okay? So she was the one that didn't necessarily exhibit the symptoms, but she carried the disease back and forth to people. Typhoid's a really nasty disease too. The best way to deal with this really is to make sure that your food and that your water are clean, that you're filtering your water. If you are not running a satisfactory water filtration system, or you don't at least have that in your preps, you need to get that squared away today. I run 2 water filtration units in my house. I run a Berkey all the time. I'll put a link down in the description box below as to what I recommend, but guys, you've really got to have your water squared away for that. Okay, so typhoid is another one, mainly waterborne. There's a whole cascade of symptoms that and progression of that disease. I encourage you to look it up because I just don't have the time to go into full depth today, but it's something that is going to come back in full force. Another thing we need to look for is cholera. Cholera, you know, the dreaded, oh, you have died of cholera. The 2 things that people died from on Oregon Trail, correct me if I'm wrong, cholera and dysentery. That and diphtheria sometimes, and malnutrition if you didn't stock up when you were supposed to, but we will move forward. Cholera is a really, really nasty disease. It can be spread, usually it's spread the fecal oral, so basically you touch something that's contaminated by somebody's poop and then you eat it, but also water. It's a very heavily correlated waterborne disease. When you're looking at the bacteria that cause cholera, they go into a heightened state of infectiousness whenever they acquire a host, okay? So basically the water contaminated by somebody's poop who has an active cholera infection, those little bacteria are way more nasty there than they would be if you got it somewhere else, okay? Your main antibiotics for treating cholera are Cipro and doxycycline. There's a lot of Cipro resistance with cholera strains. In fact, the cholera that started spreading in Haiti was Cipro resistant, okay? The cycline family was really the only thing that really nipped it in the bud. So again, going back to taking care of cholera, you've got to make sure that your water filtration system is squared away. You've got to make sure that's done, like yesterday. It needs to have been done yesterday. So the cholera. And then the last two here I want to talk about, I'll put it in reverse order, the dysentery, because we're on the digestive diseases. When you're looking at amoebic dysentery, it tends to manifest in the stools with mucus and blood in the stool, okay? Dehydration, abdominal cramping, pain, things like that. With your amoebic dysentery, a good antibiotic of choice is metronidazole or Flagyl. These right here, the fish antibiotics, they're perfectly satisfactory. In order to know how to dose them, you're going to have a dosage guide, and the best links that I can put down there for you in the description box below are to Nurse's Drug Guide, but I'll also put a link to my preferred source for fish antibiotics as far as getting good prices with decent expiration dates. A lot of the times when you look at the fish antibiotics that are for sale online, they are expiration dates that are not really ideal for long-term storage, so I'll put a link down there for you guys. But really, when you're looking at amoebic dysentery, this is something, again, that's going to crop up whenever your water filtration, your water treatment systems, whenever they break down, okay? This has happened in Syria right now. This has happened certainly in Bosnia, certainly in Rwanda. Okay, there's a lot of recent history that points to whenever you have a breakdown in rule of law, and especially when you have a breakdown in infrastructure and public health works, you're going to be dealing with these digestive diseases big time. Okay. So make sure and pay attention to that. And then lastly, I want to touch on the respiratory infections. Respiratory infections are something that we deal with anyway during cough, cold, and flu season, right? In the winter months. Blessedly, we are coming out of that as of right now. By the time that many of you are viewing this video, we may be going into it. Who knows? But with the respiratory infections, especially when you're dealing with people in cloistered environments, everybody kind of huddled together, poor ventilation, low vitamin D, malnutrition, and just a weakened immune system, respiratory infections go like nuts. And especially when you're looking at your little kids, your school-age kids, they tend to bring that stuff into the house and then everybody gets it. So some things that I recommend stirring are definitely vitamin D, vitamin supplements, but also the Mucinex. Essential oils too are very helpful. I'm a big believer in thieves oil or a mixture. I don't care which brand you use. I'll put a link down in the description box below to the ones that I like. But when it comes right down to it, guys, the respiratory infections kill a lot of people worldwide. And especially when you're looking at a breakdown in rule of law, it is a reasonable assumption that people, whether it's family groups or like-minded groups or prep groups, are going to be getting together. And unless you have a pre-built installation that is spacious and allows for people to have good space, maximum ventilation, you're looking at having these diseases get swapped back and forth to people. So you definitely need to prep and plan for that. I hope today's video was helpful for y'all. I'm going to recap here. The 5 diseases that I anticipate are going to explode and that we definitely should prepare for a poop hits the fan scenario are tuberculosis, typhoid, cholera, amoebic dysentery, and then respiratory infections. This is a lot of stuff to prepare for, guys, and I wish I could go into more depth with you, but that's what class is for. So if you enjoyed the video today, definitely subscribe and share this information for sure. Definitely leave me a comment below. But in order for me really to convey the information I need to with you guys, you definitely need to consider coming out to class. We talk about this in Medical Prep 101 and 201. Medical Prep 301 is debuting this year, so make sure and check the schedule out at the website, you guys. It's going to be a jam-packed year. I hope this information was helpful for you guys. I hope that it assists you in some way in being able to prepare and to make sure that your family and your loved ones are safeguarded, right? That's why we do what we do. That's why we spend time researching this stuff and spending time packing food in Mylar bags. That's why we put the effort and the lifeblood in, because really when it comes right down to it, guys, this is about keeping the people that we love alive and with us longer. So I hope it was helpful for you guys. Definitely subscribe to the channel, like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.